right, I'm going to talk about what I see as a businessman looking at the United States Postal Service, knowing that the postmaster is stepping down and they're looking for a successor. I was intrigued by that, so I started doing a little research on what the hell's going on over there, because we just talked about the EVs that were purchased, like $1 billion worth. Now they're shutting that down, and Tesla's looking at other options and savings and so on. So you know what they did? The government and the hatchet men of the Trump administration, that's what we call them, I call them, hatchet men or hatchet people. They're looking at what the hell's going on with the USPS. So I looked up, I went on AI, I says, what's the revenue of United States Postal Service? It's about $100 million a year, I guess. And this guy named Louis DeJoy came in and convinced this committee, without having any experience with the government, or in a way he was supposed to be a logistics expert that sold one of his businesses in North Carolina or the Carolinas. So he's basically retired, okay? But however, his wife was a U.S. ambassador under the Bush administration in 2020, I believe. Don't have all the dates and the facts, but you could look it up yourself. And his wife's last name is spelled W-O-S. And actually, when Trump came in, his first act asked her if she would be part of the Canadian ambassador. Well, what really was happening was they were huge Republican supporters. So there was a lot of money behind them. And that's how they got into the government, is through the Bush family. And basically, of the 53 candidates that they interviewed for the post office back in 2020, he wasn't even interviewed. They just appointed him. The hit behind him basically is he wears custom suits and he wears a Rolodex to work. And he brings in consultants. Bottom line is, he overpromised, we overpay, and underdeliver. Those are three huge sins in business. So let's talk about the business aspect of it. Now, Elon Musk and Doge come in and start questioning about the purchases of $1 billion worth of trucks, EV trucks, for courier services. And they start questioning, hold it here, you overpaid. Let's get deeper into this. So they got deeper into it and discovered, oh my God, this is costing us $10 billion loss per year. And he promised a $16 billion savings per year over 10 years, as long as he was the postmaster, as they call it. Well, they probably put him in the hot seat and said, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? You're losing $10 billion a year. So you know what? We're going to start talking about running this like a business, like Musk is going to do, like Trump is going to do, and so on. I mean, basically, that's what I do. I run my household like a business, right? You got so much coming in. Hopefully you don't spend it all. I save a few bucks for my retirement, okay? In the meantime, I started looking at, okay, if they're going to discuss to prioritize and privatize the USPS, first of all, it's very complex. It's going to take years. But believe me, they're going to talk to FedEx. They're going to talk to Amazon. They'll talk to, who's the other firm? UPS. These are all private, public companies, and they're very specialized. But believe me, if they were losing $10 billion a year for year after year, they'd all be in bankruptcy, okay? Now, think about this. How many employees do you believe USPS has, United States? More than 500,000. It's more like 600,000. FedEx, UPS, Amazon, I'm sure, have much less than that per facility. All right? Now, think about the payment. How does UPS get the money for these losses? Is it the taxpayers? Eventually it is. They say it's not. It's a federally funded endeavor. But here's the thing. Where do you get that money? The United States has to loan it. They get it from banks and so on. And no one's watching this shit. We're talking big bucks. Oh, what does DeJoy get? Even though he sold his business years ago for like $500 million or something like that. Probably didn't have anything to do. He gets paid about $600,000 to run this business into the ground, because that's how I look at it, into the ground. Why would somebody look at this and actually say we're going to privatize the USPS or look into it? Well, guess what? It's already been done. Yes, it's already been done. The UK, they had a buyer of 80% and they eventually sold the other 20% after 500 years. Okay? Japan cut a deal for a buyer, and so did Germany. So you got 3 major countries that have done this. How do I see it as a businessman? If I was 12 years old or 19 years old or 20 years old looking at this, I'd say to myself, wow, man. You know, like Jack Welch would say, it's either you're number one, which we're not. USPS is not number one. Number 2, can you fix it? Or number 3, you close it. We all know it's a cash trap. It's a money pit. So they're going to look into that. All right. So I think it's great. But if I was an owner of a logistics company like we talked about, the FedExes and the Amazons and UPS, it's so complex and so many people and so many complexities to run this business. I see that they could split it up, break it up like they did with AT&T and so on over the years, and just try to make it more efficient, diversify, and give us a break, man. I'm talking about the United States and our kids and our grandchildren and so on. It's got to change. It's got to change. And with Mr. DeJoy, thank God he admitted, I fucked up. But you know what? I'm going to take my money and run. And I'm sorry I didn't provide any solutions, even though I promised them. And I walk. It's a pretty easy thing to walk. And there's something behind the scenes, too. He had something to do with, my understanding, the mailings of the ballots in 2020 that they're investigating. So besides his performance at USPS as the postmaster, I think there's some other problems that he's got. Now, what's that mean to the 600 employees, the real people that are running this? I say, like my father told me, he was 99. My father's 99. He told me, goes, Rock, when are you going to retire? He says, well, I think I'm going to retire or file for Social Security at 70. He says, don't do it. And I was like 64, 65 at the time. And my full benefit would have been 66. He goes, Rock, get in the system as soon as possible. Get in the system because you don't know what's going to change. You don't know what the administration's going to do and so on. And you know what? My dad was right. And my dad's 99. He retired at 65. He made it. He beat the system. I'm 71 now. And I'm happy I got in because I'm not worried about what's going on. We all know that the Social Security leader has also resigned. What the hell's going on over there? So This is all I'm talking about, USPS. There's a lot of bullshit behind the scenes, but the 600,000 people should really start to consider what they're going to do because it's going to break up. Look at your age. Oh, I looked up average age of a postal service is 47, I believe, and almost 52% could be women. Okay? Great benefits. And the other big issue that was promised by the government, because there's agreements that they get prepayments, pre-funded retirement packages, which is a killer. No other business does that. So my understanding is going to be discontinued, or it has been. But either way, when things start cutting, they're going to be looking at this very heavily. And I'm going to give you one example of my disaster using the USPS. Because, you could always say I lost it in the mail or whatever it is. Well, guess what? It's true. I had an alimony payment to go out to be mailed, and I mailed it a week before it was supposed to be postmarked. I went down to the post office, they postmarked it and so on, and it got lost in the mail. And my ex-wife called her attorney, and they said I was in contempt of court because of the loss. I took pictures of it and everything. Here it is. Here's the check. Here's the a lump sum. I mean, it was a big number. So they ended up getting an attorney involved. I had to get an attorney involved. So eventually I had to wire the dollars, okay? And it cost me $2,400. Hiring my attorney, their attorney, to get it off the docket that I was late by 48 hours, and it cost me $2,400. That's what happened. Social Security, they were questioning my income. I sent it by FedEx to make sure that I wasn't overcharged for my Medicare. Guess what happened? I sent it FedEx. They said they never received it. Then I heard they don't like that because USPS, everything's mailed. That's why we get everything in paper form. Why? The big opportunities, to me, are going to be these big courier services. They're going to pick and choose their profitable, what they call routes. Then I think there's going to be niches for good business people that are thinking, hey, this is my territory. I'm going to deliver here, here, and here, and that's it. And believe me, you're going to be paying $15, $20, $25 for something that might have cost $5. But guess what? You never got there, or you got a problem. Okay? I see that as an opportunity. So have the infrastructure, have the experience, have the knowledge to run this business. But it's going to be an opportunity for someone. The other situation is I see of the billions of documents, mailings per year have been reduced by, I guess, 50% over the last 10 years. Well, guess what? Start using what everybody else is using. Paperless. You could do paperless, but USPS, it was a federal deal that you had to send it through USPS. So Oracle, start thinking about finding out how to invest in these digital asset companies and documents. And believe me, the hacking and the this and all that, they're working on that, man. They're working on it. And is it going to happen tomorrow? Nah. Will I be alive to see it? No, but my vision tells me as a business opportunity, this is it. But if you are a worker, start thinking about your future. And it might be 3 years. It might be 5 years. But they're going to work on this because you're going to save billions. You're going to save, I'm talking about the federal government. They're going to figure it out. And it's going to help Social Security. It's going to help all these other things because that's the bottom line. Hatchet men, cut. Why? They want that to go to the middle class and the people. Believe me, that's what this is eventually. And you create jobs. You got technology, you got innovation, you got job opportunities, and it's going to be sustainable. How long is USPS sustainable? Start now. Come on. There's a shakeup, man. It's a shakeup. And there's a shakeup in Social Security. I'm glad I'm in the system. I'm glad I'm old right now. So this is what I wanted to talk about. It's very important, and this is about our future. And yeah, it's going to be rough. There's going to be change. But overall, long term, it's going to be better for our country. It's going to be better for people. And it's the right thing to do because why? It's common sense. That's what this is. This is a business. The federal government is a business. These federal subsidized programs, they got to go business. And if it's going unregulated, because there's too much regulation, it's better. There's rules and guidelines and so on, but believe me, you want to get your shit on time. You want to get it delivered, and you want it done right. But I'm fine with digital assets. I'm fine with paperless for my business, everything I do. I think it's a waste. What about printing? I'm in the printing business. And there's all this printing out there. Costs billions just for this paperwork. It's worthless. The hatchet men are out to help us. So that's all I have to say for now. God bless. I'll talk to you soon. I always try to say, know your value. All right? And always bring joy. But I get pretty pumped up about life, And I love seeing what I'm seeing, which is doing the right thing. It's called integrity and business ethics and so on. Those are the things we need in our world. Okay? So don't forget, it's been done before. Germany, UK, Japan. Now we're going to look at it. And believe me, you got the smartest people in the world putting this together to help us, the people. God bless. Talk to you soon.